going back to what you said about, the richest man in the world who has 100,000 employees is answering your emails. I mean, that's unheard of. What other company CEO can you say that for? And that kind of goes back to just so much of what I've read about, working at Tesla. I haven't, but just from what I've read and heard people say, how empowering it is. You really are there to make a difference. You're free to, do what you see as best, solve the problem your way. And it sounds like there's not really any management or like micromanaging going on. I mean, what was
Right.
it like? Would you say working at Tesla?
Yeah, it was the opposite of micromanagement. It was an incredible trust placed on employees. You did have leadership. Like you definitely, at least in the organizations that I worked, like we did have leaders, but the leader's job was to empower you to and give you tools so that you can do the best possible job of solving problems. And there was a lot of it was super encouraged to have a situation where if somebody comes across a problem, it doesn't matter what role they are. Like the one example I give is we had a janitor, his name's Mike. And he was there just to, clean and pick up garbage. And then he's like, hey, if we come up with a tool that's going to enable us to store our cardboard a certain way, it's going to be probably going to make us way faster. And then our leader said, hell yeah, let's go ahead and build that. And then our productivity went up 30%. When's the last time that's happened? When's the last time a janitor has added a 30% productivity to for a company that's publicly listed who has 100,000 people? Okay. I don't know if that's ever happened before in the history of mankind. Okay. But that is the beauty of the culture, is that it's almost like a magnet for people that want to work really hard and come up with solutions. And then the culture enables and empowers the people that want to make a difference. And regardless of size, that is part of that culture. I haven't been there for almost a year, but I do have friends, a lot of my very good friends still work there. And sometimes I touch base. Is it still the same? Yeah, still the same, still the same, still the same. So to me, I don't see any signs of that slowing down ever since I left. And that's the beauty, that's the power behind why Tesla has the products and the services and the sort of the reverence that it has. It's born out of that culture. In the end, people are the ones that are making Teslas. People are the ones that are making the robots making Teslas, the ones that are making the processes that make the Teslas and that get the parts out to the distribution centers and the service centers and body shops, so on and so forth. And it's a reflection of how passionate and good the people are. And yeah, it's a very special place. I really think it's a case study. Like Tesla should be a case study on how to run a business in the 21st century. And it ultimately comes down to trusting your people. I think too many companies, and I think a lot of your viewers and probably yourself would agree with this, too many companies put in way too many hurdles to minimize the amount of mistakes people do, or to minimize how liable the company has to be for your mistakes or when you do something wrong. Where Tesla maximizes your ability to do what you think is the best thing to do for the company. And that, again, is a trust thing. It's a complete rewrite of how companies run. It's fascinating to watch. And I think ultimately, in my opinion, that's Tesla's greatest moat and Tesla's greatest strength. It's the culture. And I can say that because I was there. I could be wrong, but that is my takeaway. It's not the batteries, it's not the drivetrain, it's not the AI, it's not the full self driving, it's the culture. The culture is what enables all these things to exist. And it starts at the top and it propagates down.
Yeah, that's fascinating to hear you say that. There's so many moats to Tesla, but here, you think the culture is their biggest moat, and I think that is so indicative of, there's all these arguments of competition coming, going to catch up. Tesla doesn't have to be light years ahead of everyone forever for them to prosper, because Apple's a perfect example of, here's a company who can do things even just marginally better, but it translates into exponentially better results. And I feel like that's exactly what you're going to see thanks to that culture and the way it's set up. Maybe they'll study this in business schools in 10 or 20 years. You know, when you have that going into the manufacturing process, the product, I mean, it's hard not to stay ahead. I mean, they're not staying still, waiting for people to catch up.
Right.
So yeah, and really interesting about the types of people who will thrive at Tesla. It makes a lot of sense. Like if you're self motivated, you want to make a difference, and then Tesla's got probably, if not the best mission statement, what other company is up there really empowering you to change the world and transition the world to a sustainable future.
Yeah. Yeah, that mission is really the mission, that variable is what enables Tesla to have that culture. It's a mission-driven company. I think ultimately what it comes down to is that, like how many companies have missions as big as Tesla's? We on my channel, we did a little bit of like a role play exercise. The role play was, let's figure out how to make a pet store have a mission statement as strong as Tesla's, and see if that's even possible, right? And the idea behind that was, the hypothesis is, rather, is that Tesla is able to attract the talent because they've been able to carve out a mission statement that is so powerful that that people can't help but to join the company with a lot of passion, and that is what drives the culture. And so we're like, okay, how many companies could exist that have similar mission statements that could really, like really inspire people to want to become huge adds to that culture, that want to be able to really move that company forward and that mission forward. And we had a very hard time coming up with a mission statement for a pet store. Like I think the thing we came up with is like, our goal is to ensure that the animals in our lives bring us the most happiness in the world, and our mission is to ensure your pets are as healthy as possible so that they can bring the most joy in your life. Like, okay, cool. Like, I think we did a good job somewhat coming up with a good mission statement for a pet store. But how does that compare to, advancing the advent of sustainable transport and a sustainable energy infrastructure, and things along those lines? I don't know. I feel like that impacts everybody. Whereas not everybody is a pet person, and not everyone really views their pet in that way. So yeah, it's an interesting case study in how mission statements really could be the pillars of. It's like the start. It's the start of these types of cultures being born, and I'm not so sure every company in the world's able to do that, which then obviously goes to the fact that maybe not every company can do what Tesla does. And you just have to carve out that niche for yourself to be able to attract the best talent.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely some great points. And I feel like Amazon is maybe another one that comes to mind. I mean, I don't, the mission's all about making the customer's life better, easier, which is a great business model too, because whereas historically a lot of companies just kind of maximize profits at the expense of customers, they've kind of
Right.
revolutionized that industry, just making the customer's life better. They will stick around for the long haul. But it's definitely nowhere close. I would still say to Tesla's mission statement and how empowering that really seems to be.
Yeah, one
Um,
could then make the argument that's like more materialistic. I mean, it's a great mission. I use Amazon freaking every day. I love Amazon. Okay. Yeah, they don't treat their workers right in some warehouses. That's a shame. They got to fix that. But as far as the value brought to humanity from like a materialistic perspective, and like being able to like get the things you want as quickly as possible, the best. The Literally, I can order something at 11 a.m. and it shows up at my door at 3 p.m. This is
yeah,
crazy. Like, okay, great. Why else? Why would I leave my house for anything? But it's materialistic. It doesn't have, in my opinion, it doesn't have that sort of like, it's moving humanity forward when it comes to utilizing energy and changing our transportation systems. But some people might like the materialistic aspect better. And who am I to judge?
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm an avid Amazon user as well, and it's
yeah.
just crazy. Never before in history could you, with one click checkout, buy a sledgehammer and Eagle's beak, and it's at your house in 6 hours, whatever you need.
There you
um,
go.